when I toured in rock bands and such, and we went online to figure out where we were going to get shirts and stickers and all those types of things made, one of the first places that always popped up would be JakPrints. And so if you've ever had stickers made or any kind of printed material or posters, probably JakPrints is someone that you've pulled up online or whatever. And over the last several years, I've developed a great relationship with this person that has way too much energy to contain in one room. And so I would like you guys to be able to make that connection and meet him too. And so I'm going to play a quick video that he has put together, and then you guys can welcome to the stage Jacob Edwards.
I thought I would play this video here because it's a Stern Pinball, which is here in Chicago. Client of ours, we do most, if not all, their merch. So anyways, I am Jacob Edwards from JakPrints. If you don't know JakPrints, we've been in business about 25 years. That's where all this gray is coming from and has gone. We do everything from screen printing, full color printing, stickers, business cards, brochures, everything but hydro printing. We've moved pieces of our business around. We used to have one of the biggest on-demand printing facilities and moved that away from the business, but we've kind of see it all every which way at this point, and it's been years. And what I wanted to do is I kind of want to back up, because one of the things that I see these days on Instagram and social media is what everybody wants you to see, right? Everybody's prints are fucking perfect. It all comes out right. Everything's perfect. So what I kind of thought was, well, instead of sitting up here and telling you my opinion about our problems in our industry and all this, I thought, it'd be cool is kind of to show you guys where this came from, just so you know you definitely can get there. So I kind of, let me go into that. Yeah. Let's see, what do you got? What do you got on the screen? Print your heart out. All right. So anyways, the beginnings for me, personally, to get us all started here is I started like a lot of you, which was in music. I didn't get into printing as a business. I didn't start doing this as a thought out plan. So I'm going to kind of bring you through that journey. That's me. I like to think when I don't see a mirror, that's what I look like still. So, and that is my twin brother. I have an identical twin brother. He is in this photo about 4 seconds from spitting, which he would do at every show. So my move was, and get the fuck out of the way. And then someone would be hit in the face with spit. And that was far before it was like, a weapon of mass destruction. And I know you're all thinking like, damn, that's gross. You guys were in a band. He was a drummer. He ain't got no diseases. Didn't much out of that, man. So anyways, we had a great ride in a band. And I also, we recorded some albums with some fun people. My twin brother and I dropped out of 9th grade because we thought we were going to be famous, like a lot of people in here. We didn't want to do any work. We wanted to wake up at noon and rock out. And I remember we were recording at Inner Ear, which anybody that likes Fugazi or anything fun like that, that's where they recorded, which is exciting for us and probably no one else in this room. But the gentleman that recorded us was in my favorite band ever called Jawbox. You should check him out. And he was my hero. And we're recording with him. And he says, you guys want to stay at my house? And we were like, dude, it's so rad, because we were going to sleep in the van. And he brings us to his house, and it's middle of the night. I wake up to go use the bathroom, and I look at his fridge, and there's a check on it from Lava Atlantic Records for my hero for 0.32 cents. And that's when I was like, we got to figure something else out, boys. Kicked them all and was like, come over here, look at this refrigerator. this ain't gonna work. If our favorite band is making a 32-cent royalty, we are in trouble. So we all kind of started hatching our plan. And that's me skateboarding. I was also thought I'd be a famous skater one day. So I still skate at 44 years old. And the fun part about this picture is this was at an event, and I'm not kidding you, Paynesville, Ohio. It's called Paynesville. It's not a joke. But this was an event called Rock the Ramp that we had put together, which is really cool, other than the fact that we raised $35,000, and then the skate park they put in was this junky pre-made thing that I've never even skated, unfortunately. But we raised some money and got that. So I grew up like many people that end up in screen printing, music, skateboarding, art. So this is how I got into printing. This picture is drawn by my father, probably more than 25 years ago. And you can see it. Don't ask me how I had this. I just had it. I must be like a hoarder. So so my father was showing me this is how you go make a t-shirt, because I was like, we need to make some t-shirts for our band. We need to get some money. And now I'm gonna point out over here, if you can see my dad's humor, because that's definitely a penis. But that's my father. But I mean, again, and hey, this is trademarked. I don't need any of you suppliers stealing this to put in the industry on how to make a screen, because it definitely looks better. Actually, it looks like if you order something on Instagram, that's like the directions. You're like, what is this thing? So here is our band at the time was called Primitive, and this is my experience into Kinko's, or what I like to call screen print supply / insomnia place that I would go at 4 in the morning. And this was a sticker sheet I made. Little did I know I was already doing gang runs and 2-up, working tumbles, working turns. This was a sheet-wise, lots of nerdy full color printing stuff. But I was already kind of nesting them to save money. This is actually the very first film I had ever made at Kinko's. So I stole the Rolling Rock logo. I feel like that horse was always judging me. You can just see it in his eyes. So this was the very first film that I had ever made, and I had pulled a squeegee over. Now at this point, there was no JakPrints. There was none of that. I was just doing what most of you did, which was I just need to make some merchandise from a band, because they're definitely not going to buy the records, and the show is definitely not going to pay us. Right? I think we've played, I could probably do basement waterproofing across the United States. Right? I played every basement there was, from Cleveland to California, all the way back 6 times. I think we were on the road for 11 years straight, playing with every indie rock band that also you don't know about. So that's kind of where that went. So this, at this point, I was introduced to a 6-foot blonde German named Lindsay, which changed my life. And there he is in the middle. That is Lindsay Kuhn. And if you're ever in Denver, he owns a company called Swamp Co. He's a super rad dude. And he put out a record for us, and we drove all the way to Austin, Texas. And that now is a massive condo complex where his shop was. But I walked into Lindsay's shop, and I fell in love with this idea. He had a skate shop up front. He had a printing facility in the basement. He did posters, stickers. He did everything. He even had no-lie music. He had conspiracy skateboards. He still has all of these, by the way. Lindsay is the only guy. He should be up here doing a whole story. He's the only guy I know that 25 years later, he does the exact same thing and has a beautiful home in Denver, Colorado. So he figured out something. He's a poster artist. This is his trusty steed, Bucket. And Bucket showed me how to pull a squeegee with a logo of a 6-arm baby that we printed on everything we had in our bags. Every one of us. We just took everything we had out of the bags and we printed the no-lie 6-arm baby everywhere. And they gave us stickers and we covered our van and everything. Bucket was an infamous skater named Bucket back in the day. So he worked out of Lindsay's shop, and he might still work with Lindsay in Denver. This was the actual show we played. So this was my first time ever at South by Southwest, which after this and starting JakPrints, my partner and I Gave me a guess. We spent many years, every year of our life at South by Southwest after this day on, marketing there. And most people thought JakPrints was in Austin, Texas, because we did some guerrilla stuff there. But anyways, we played with Rock from the Crypt. This is one of Lindsay's posters. He didn't obviously take much time on it. So, you know, cut and paste some things. Here you go, boys, we'll make a poster. But he also released this record, which was a split back in the day when you just flipped the record. You weren't allowed having the whole thing. They had to take 50% of the risk, give it to another band. This is how this worked in my day. And you also needed a record player. But if you ever want to hear something very amazing, go search down the band Crawl, and specifically the song Butterflies. I think it's one of the most intricate, very cool rock song they ever made, and they never wanted anybody to know they did it because they were not a rock band. Anyway, so that's our record there. And the inside of this record says Boy A, Boy B, and Michael Knight. And that was, we were a trio. And hello. And our guitarist is now the sound guy at Thrice and has some fun, and we all kind of moved on from that. Anyways, that was the beginning of JakPrints. It was, hey, I'm gonna make this a company. I've got nothing better to do because I've dropped out and my resume is very short. So I started pulling squeegees with all of the strength of the Kiss belt buckle. And again, I like to think I look like that still. But that was my trusty Hopkins 4-color. And Brett had brought up, this industry to me is like a cult, right? I don't actually know of another industry like this. And Rick was part of that while I was growing up there. And around this time, I'd sent Rick some films, and I'd read everybody's articles. How do I get better at this? How do I do this better? It was my little shop there. It was clean for that day. But, you know, I still see the same faces, and they, like Brett said, they help you with everything. It's like it's definitely co-opetition in this industry. There's definitely more of them looking for our time than there is of us, and especially us that can print, right, and do a great job and actually combine forces with each other. So, so this was my first catalog. This is the first JakPrints catalog. It was 11/17. Jack Silkscreen and his Jacob Edwards and Friends. Jack was put together to help bands, record labels, zines, and other independent doers promote and profit, with most bands having little or no label support and zero guarantee tours. T-shirts are a must. I've tried hard to put the prices, I tried too hard, you'll see, to put the prices at a bare minimum. You should have no problem finding a good deal. All of our prints are done with screenprinted plastols, inks, and printed on personal level, doing whatever it takes to make your print as good as possible. Jacob. Right? So this was it. This was the start. This was the first client I ever had, which was the Euclid Tavern, which I wish Steve Albini was here. He would love this. This was a club in Cleveland. It was famously known because it was in the light of day with Michael J. Fox and all that. And many of the bands that kind of made a lot of music and an entire genre of music came out of the Euclid Tavern. And a famous artist named Derek Hess also came out of the Euclid Tavern. He used to cut the wings in the basement. And then he said, I want to hold shows. And the Euclid Tavern was just a blues bar. And he brought in Helmet and Crowbar in 19-something, 91, 90. And then he started drawing posters because he needed someone to, whole nother story, but he has 2 pieces in the Louvre in France. And he is a Clevelander and a really good friend of mine. This was the next one I did. I thought, I want to try to screen print a catalog, get Kinko's out of their business at the time. And this was now my new trusty steed that, with my pricing, had no clothes over there. And what scares me, little side note about our industry, I'm pretty sure we're actually less than these prices now. That's a problem. 25 years later. And look at my minimums. I would only do 100. God, what happened to us? We just kept pulling them down, didn't we? Well, there we are. At the top, Braden Branston, which was 2 of my clients, and then that's Flipside's number. I guarantee it doesn't work anymore. I got lots of that. If I flip it over, there's a whole other story on there, but I didn't. This was my first ad. Bands don't let fans go naked. Thought that was kind of fun. You know, real punk, real cut and paste. think I just learned the Photoshop version they sent with the scanner I had bought. And I had to hack my way through separations. Now, this is an era of JakPrints. When I met my business partner and a good friend of Ben's over there and his brother, Damian Guess, and Damian brought a little life into the brand, all right? So Damian was a designer, and he came in, and him and I collaborated. He said, this is killer. He also was brokering full color printing, and he came in, and I said, hey, I need a website. There's this thing called the web. And at the time, the company was called Jak Entertainment Promotions Apparel, or Jak Silk Screening, or Jak Silk Screening something. There was like 40 names. None of them made sense. No one knew why I spelled it wrong. Little did we know that we would be in an era where JakPrints and spelling things wrong was totally fucking cool and like the biggest thing in the world now, with everything being spelled wrong. But that was basically because I probably couldn't spell. I didn't know Jax was spelled X. Who cares? I just came up with it, but I liked the little thing. And I was like, it's super original. Why would you make a thing that's super cool and all you're gonna do is drop it on the ground and try to pick up balls? So I just thought, this is the coolest thing. This Jak, is such a neat design for a designer, for anybody. It didn't mean rock and roll. It didn't mean skateboarding. It didn't mean this, but it kind of meant all of them. So that's why the name Jak and the actual Jak I thought was a really cool thing, and I'd used it on a lot of our band shirts. Our band was called Shieldbound. It was spelled wrong, Sheilbound. We have an exclusive deal with Bandcamp. And if you can find a rare record in the dollar section, I will buy it from you, because I cannot find our record. But anyways, Damien and I combined forces. He made me a website, and I came upstairs. We lived below and above each other. And I came up, and the entire website he made me had everything: paper, stickers, business cards, everything. I said, where am I getting those? He goes, I can get those for you. I was like, welcome, partner. And that's how Damien and I became partners. And we went on to keep designing and see. And one of the strategies we had, which definitely paid off, was we were faking it till we make it. I mean, we literally just made the shit look like $1 million, and it was 3 guys in a building, hand screen printing. But MTV and everybody, they didn't have any reason to fly into Cleveland. They just believed it was a huge company the whole time. Did posters for Comedy Central, MTV, and no one had really done it. No one had made a catalog with every product in it. Just catalog it, stick it. It was the same catalog you guys have, the little Jak one. It was the exact same cut size. It fit in your pocket, and we would dump thousands of them. We'd go to Boston, go up and down Newberry Street, every coffee shop, everything. We guerrilla marketed. Every other weekend, Damien and I got in a van and we drove somewhere, or we flew somewhere. We even flew in order to France because it was late. Got on a flight and did that. So all this, you gotta work hard. Everybody in this fucking room works hard. So, it's all hard work. You just got to get clever, and you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to make it look better than it is. And always use the term we, not I, where people know that only you're going to do it. So we changed the whole theory. We wanted it to be a brand. Every employee we've ever had gets a card with a .com on it because they work for a .com. They do not work for a silkscreen company. They do not work for a printing company. They work for a brand. So our goal from the start was to make the aura of the company an actual product where we make, where's Ricardo? He's going to beat me on this one. But if I had to say it, JakPrints makes cool products for cool people. That's where I'd be at. He'll help me with that. It'll cost me a little bit, but I'll get him on it. So we got it here, Ricardo. You're up next. Thank you. So anyways, these were some of the looks and feel, and this was actually a photo of a real metal Jak. This was one of my favorites, just to give you guys a little bit of timeline and design. This was done by a local artist here named Stefan Jensen, F3 Design. He is an amazing designer, and I hooked up with him through this band, Dope, which we printed for, and he did all their shirts, and it pushed us to do full color faces and graphics on shirts because they sent us the art and said, cool, we put in the order. And I'm like, fuck, I don't know how to separate that. I better learn right now. So, and Stefan was awesome. His files were the most amazing stuff I had ever looked at. You could see here, he worked magic in Photoshop better than anybody I know. And he kind of took the brand, and we started doing these colors and kind of dividing the full color division in a certain color branding. And it was a fun project to kind of move it down. This was our first office. This is an artist, Basque, that we connected with. We had a great little gallery. I'm not going to show any pictures of the new shop. I don't want to bore you with that. It's more about how it came there. This is LT. This was, so JakPrints, we got into writing our own software. We had our own system. I met some guys that knew how to write PHP, and for probably, I would say 10 to 15 years of my personal life, I was a CTO, and I learned a lot about technology, and it grew from there. We did a bunch of really cool shit with technology. We made our own admin. I remember sitting down with Rick in 2005, I believe, out in Minneapolis, and I was checking all our orders from my computer and looking at where they were in the steps, and Rick was just like, holy shit, how are you doing that? And but that kind of went, we had to basically determine, are we going to be a software company for screen printing, or are we going to be JakPrints? So we kind of dumbed some stuff down. This was a fun project that I had done. We kind of deprecated it because it became too costly, but we actually, probably 5 years ago, we made a mock-up system that actually could 3D wrap. This is not a great example of what it does, but we used a engine called Liquid Pixels and with 3D wrap, so you could basically pull a shirt in real dimensions. It would go exactly where it would go. It'd wrap exactly. So what you see on the front, if you went around the sides with the print, you exactly see that. And then we got cute. We did dye sublimation, and it always had these problems. So I went in and figured out how to put a mask on it. So when you stuck a graphic on it, it'd show where the shit was all broken up. So I wouldn't have to get that call, because those little crow's nests under the arms is what happens when you just smash sublimation over a shirt. Many people bought it, and we had to explain it. We did many event shows. Many, I think this is How Design, maybe South by Southwest. And we basically realized that your customers are your best marketing, right? Like, I mean, if we made golf clubs and Tiger Woods swing, doesn't matter how good it is, Tiger Woods swinging it. So we took every band and every client we could and put it in every advertisement, everything we had. And to be quite honest, maybe one call. And most of the time it was like, that's rad, I see our thing in there. Which always was crazy to me, because I'm like hanging, you know, a shirt that's at like Supreme level and saying, this is only $4, and they're selling it for 30. So I was like, yeah, it's kind of a conflict of interest, but no one ever really got on us for it. We started adding to the site that when we did things, it said if you could showcase it and things like that, just to be nice about it. But I will say, using your actual customers and showing people who you work with, that breeds a whole thing of them going, oh, that's who does that, I'm gonna use them. And it's better than any sales tool you could ever use, is just showcasing what you actually do. I say the best advertisements falls off that dryer every minute. Every minute, if we just had a camera mounted over it and a website, I bet people would just sit there and watch, right? Just to see who's coming off the dryers. So lots of trade shows, lots of fun there. We also even put on our own show in, I think this was 2005, we put on a show called Scribbles by Skaters. I roped up a bunch of designers, skate artists. We had Ed Templeton, we had Pusshead, we almost had Jim Phillips, which did this book, but he passed away after doing this book. This was the last thing he ever designed, was the Scribbles by Skaters poster, which was a collage of everything Jim Phillips had done. And an interesting story behind Jim Phillips was, when I first wrote him and said, hey, I want to do a skateboard show that shows off the artists behind skateboarding, because no one ever knows who did all this really cool art that's influenced the entire industry. And you know, this guy did the Independent logo. I don't even know if it's in here, but I mean, I see it everywhere. It's on every kid. And he wrote me back, I got paid $50 for that, fuck off. And that was it, literally, period. And then I just kept writing him. That's exactly why I'm writing you, Jim. And then him and I became really good friends. He didn't make it to the show. He fell ill and then passed away. But if you ever get the chance, it's a beautiful book that he put out. It actually was put out after he passed away. But he did some great art in the skateboard world, really influenced a bunch of design. And the stuff was super cool to print. And we even got Rich Novak, which owns all the rights to Rob Roskop, to let us stick the word Scribbles over it. It was a super fun time. Anyways, we kept designing and making our craft look a little better and better and getting there. Also just printing, like everybody, we did this project, I think, at our shop. with Tom and Rick. They came to the shop and we did this project. Print for Clutch, do a bunch of design things. We really get our hands on everything. We were doing the sublimation for a while. Thought this one was funny with the face there. But they had challenges too. We were at 300 employees, and then you got to drive a bus around to get more of them, right? So this becomes complicated. Like Josh that was up here, you could tell the stress in that man's face. The amount of seats you got to feed, the amount of faces you got to feed, and we've had a lot of conversations. It's been an awesome time hanging out with you all and understanding the challenges. But in my world, we definitely are trying to pay employees the most and make the most money if you can figure out how to do that. And for me, it's not about we were joking yesterday. You go, if you could buy a human, which we do as employees, and someone said, hey, look at that robot, and then you just walked up to me and was like, hey, what's going on? That robot would be $500 million. But every day we can get a human with 2 eyes to come help us with our businesses. I feel like they should be paid more, twice as much. My theory is your employees should always get paid. Your employees should always get paid more than you can afford because they're going to help you bring that business ahead. It's hard, but always don't look at them first. Everything first, right? And the first one I would look at is your customer, right? So sometimes you got to nip them out. It's not worth it because I'll be honest, those employees we love and they do everything for our business. And if that means abusing them so that band can get a cheaper shirt, we got a problem in this industry. We got to make sure that we're federating and we're putting our prices where they need to be, or we're all going to have a really, really hard time. Anyways, wrapped up some vehicles, moved to California, opened a whole shop in California. Had that there for about 7 years. Things got very crazy over there, so we pulled that out. Little branding things here, little shop there, little JakPrints website here, and then the penultimate of things, we actually even ended up in a third ad somehow. Maybe we owed them money and they wanted to use us as free advertisement. But we also, along the way, created a merchandising company. So we own Indie Merchandising, Indie Merch, and Indie Merch Store. We have about 700 bands that we do through that product, and then it also is an online merchandise retailer for music merchandise. Obviously, we print a lot of it. We also buy a lot of it. It is a separate company. It's a fun time. If you ever get this bag in the mail, you would know what it is. We also, along the way, created a merchandising platform. This grew out of the technology team that we wrote the JakPrints software with, and brought all those guys together, brought them in as partners, and we wrote this system. We run the Chive media on it, so all the Chive stuff that you see. And basically this company, it's a software platform for fulfillment distribution. It also ties to manufacturing. Hello. It's really cool part is it's the only system where you can essentially populate your items and create how it's going to be manufactured. So essentially if you run out of physical goods, it'll start making on demand. You put back in physical goods, it always ships physical goods first. So it basically plays inventory management for you the whole time. It's growing very quick, and in my mind, this is the future. I think our printing will come through the head of things like Shopify, and we're gonna have to figure out a way to weld our businesses up into the bottom of it. We will probably start doing a similar thing by partnering up with shops so that they can actually get fed into that. Because we take on an e-commerce portal and we just took on 48,000 SKUs. So it's, this idea of I'm gonna do this printing for somebody, it's that interaction is at least in the next 10 years will thin out to partnerships for these brands just wanna sell and the system has to do everything else. Pretty much what Josh is doing, but he's working with brands at a face-to-face. But if even for him and I were having conversations at dinner and I had a Troy Lee shirt on and he was like, I printed that. And I'm like, I know, but imagine if I called them right now and said, hey, your Shopify cart? We can just make all of that, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? So this is kind of where we're at. It's not about screen printing going away. It's not about any of that. I believe all these print processes have a place and they will, but we gotta get a little more agile and think about how we get to the consumer first and make sure that we get get those guys to fall in love with the product, we'll fall in love with the process, right? Because we already did. So hard work pays off, you know. So I wanted to play this video. I thought it was really cute. Oh, sorry, where'd it go? This was made by Andy J. Pizza, and my kids love it. And I thought it was really cute, so I'd stick it in here as a little break.
Have you ever wondered how posters get made? No one has, but we can't all get what we want. Here's a fun fact. Did you know that paper could wiggle? Posters love being pet. Nice and flat. Nice. Boop, boop. Time to cut you. Did you know this machine looks like a robot with 4 eyes, a blue nose, and half a mustache? Pay attention, and you'll see this poster's friends and family. Off to your new family now. Hey, posters, save room for crusty Uncle Kraft paper. 2 pieces of tape ensure your posters arrive completely unconscious.
So I thought I had to play that. So this is another thing. All these creatives in this market, they all need help, right? So this is where giving people, don't give them a discount, don't cut it off, just comp the shit. There's no point in this industry to just lower a price, because then when they come back to reorder, they're like, yeah, but I had that price. And now you just expose your bottom line. So you're better off, do collaborations, print the things outright, accept it as a marketing expense. But I really, at least in my 25 years of experience, it's really bad to tell people numbers and then they start, you know, as a little bit of a thing there. So anyways, along this way, you can imagine, I like to think, I come up with like thousands of horrible ideas that, thank God, the next day I wake up and go, damn, I was drunk. That's a horrible idea. I'd never invest in that. But along the way, we do come up with some things, usually related to attempting to try to make our business better, or a lot of times solving our customer's problem, which we heavily invested in for a long time once we started bringing on big clients that had big problems, and their answer to it was to cut checks. And believe it or not, you'll find out in this industry, you could spend all the money you want. A lot of times the solution just does not exist. It's just faster horses. It's just, well, cool, we'll buy more of them to do the exact same thing, but there's no real multiplier in it. So you do have to innovate. And we also realize in this industry that innovating and trying to protect that really doesn't make any sense. I don't know where Rick's hiding, but Rick's brought me so many gems along my life, and he would always have this comment, well, I shouldn't tell you this, but I'm just gonna tell you anyways. And and it was awesome. But what we realized was there are no secrets in shops, and there shouldn't be, because it's an industry where we're all trying to solve it, and we're not. It's a waste of time trying to pick work out of everybody else's pockets. There's more than enough challenges out there. There's more than enough growth, and every day there's bands, brands, artists, and everything. And as long as we make an industry that's a healthy industry and it has real margin, and we can pay operators the same thing that a CNC factory operator would make, we need to go in that way. So anyways, I invested a lot of my time innovating. We were really the first on the scene with Courtney. I had innovated this. This was 2011. This is actually the first view you'd ever see of their machine, called the Vulcan. This is in Israel. And this came from a collaboration with Ofer Benz and I. I'm not going to say I made the machine, but they came into our factory, and Ofer asked me a bunch of questions, and I like to talk. And I told him my opinion, and I said, you can't load a machine and then unload it yourself. And it should run like an offset machine. You want to come see 22,000 pieces of paper going out? Right here. And he watched that machine run, and he said, holy shit. And he actually even called Komori and a bunch of offset printing companies to see if he could get their carriage system that would carry the shirt. And he came up with this genius idea of how this system worked, and this belt would bring this pallet. This machine, I think, over the past couple years has actually finally started making its way into the market. But the idea there is this whole digital era, because you could feed thousands of graphics into a system, and everything was unique. You basically needed some commercial machines that could really work. And I have my opinions on the price and all that, and have fun with it, but yep, I innovated with them for a while on this. We ended up making a lot of our own chemistry. We did a lot of fun stuff with that. This was an innovation I did when I was in California. It's a piece of wood. So this was how we created the tag shirts. right? So that was the outcome of that. And we made it both for screen print and digital. This is what we ended up with. And 1 month ago, we were granted the patent on it. So we'll see if we go after people or just high five them when they see us and they're running our pallet. It was more to protect us so they couldn't shut us down. But these days, like I said, this was like, hey, we should patent it because we came up with it. But you know, we're working with companies. Innovation's one of my favorites. We took an MHM, we put a sprayer on it, and we innovated one of the funnest things. I can now show you this. No one was allowed to see this for a long time in my career. We had some gag orders going, but we had a client that had to do digital, and they had to do a lot of digital, and we had to find a way to cut that process in half. So the first thing was to innovate on a pallet where we could do the inside neck and the front at the exact same time. Like I said, we figured out how to do it in screen printing, which is one of my favorite things. I learned how to do some 3D design and actually go chip some metal at the factory. So here are those pallets, but if you look in the background, let me skip over this. This was the first press we did this on. The machines are paradigms. They were made to do hybrid printing, and as you can see, for some reason, there's 4 of them around that press. So, and now this isn't that new. Things like the oval jet and other things do this, but this was very early on. We took an MHM screen printing press and we took all the flash units, we stuck them in, wrote our own software, and we ended up double indexing, so it'd go white, white, color, color. And 2 people loaded this. 2 people loaded 2 separate shirts. 2 separate shirts came off of it. It worked amazing. We upgraded that because they wanted double that capacity to what we called the quadridyne. And this was on IDS Oval that we put this rig on. And we had 2 of these setups. One was over here. I remember Nike coming in and going, how the hell did you make that work? And this was a result. Couldn't find a dryer that could keep up with it. No one trademarked that, you know what that client is. But my point is, we were innovating in a way, and we had found a lot of things out. A lot of people wanted to kind of slow down on where we were going, right? Because we were actually figuring a lot about what was going on. We were able to do full color shirts with things you wouldn't even be able to do them with. So we're really proud of that. We're always thinking little things like innovations, 4 up on a pallet to do multiple different masks when that shit show happened for all of us. We also are testing another innovation we made that we'll probably try to license to one of the dryer companies, and I'll show you a little quick vid. And it's not very descriptive because I don't want you to exactly know how we did it, but we're working on the patents. This little object here, play the video, stacks shirts on its own. So I'll play that again. So it takes the shirt off the end of your belt, brings it down and stacks them, and then lowers and stacks them up, counts them. So, and then the belt will deliver it off. So our whole idea was to innovate the idea that shirts could be normalized into totes and then ran around a factory. Go to folding, go to fold and bag, go to them, box and cut, whatever they needed to do. We come from the full color printing division where stuff actually makes a ton of sense. They use robots where they should. The screen printing industry is very behind on innovation, very, very behind. And it's ideas like this where if you normalize the way a soft object that is not normalized, then you can start doing other things with that process. So, we're working on that project now. And this came out of a project where we were trying to figure out our cost of operations, and we do a bunch of fun stuff with that as well. But I ran the math on the current, and this was all, I think we were only running 4 presses at the time. It ended up being $216,000 a year to catch a shirt. So I was like, that needs fixed, right? So innovate. Think of ideas. And by the way, let's go back to this one. Here's a fun little fact. See this machine here? I was on a call with 8 engineers. 8 engineers from Cornette. And they all said, it's not gonna work. You can't get them to line up. And I have my own reasons why they thought that. They were right, but they were wrong because we did some trial and error, and we're screen printers. We can solve anything with a hammer, with whatever. So anyways, I remember the day Nike or one of the companies, Tagger or someone was in, and they said, and they brought Cornette in. They're all standing around the machine, and they're all doing their thing. And they go, so, how did you register them? And I said to Mike, go bring the registration machine out. And he walked out, and he goes, and it was a 2x4. Sat under them, moved them around until they registered. They weighed 3,000 pounds apiece. They weren't moving, and that press weighs 10,000 pounds. None of it was moving, and it was super accurate. And as long as you didn't do the y-axis coordinates, you actually just made your own coordinates up, you could always register them. So you couldn't use their software, and if someone nuked the software, you had to re-register everything, which was a little bit of a problem. But anyway, so we were definitely making things like the oval jet and all that early on as JakPrints. And I think this is a very important part in business. I think your employees seeing that you innovate is a culture in your business. And it helps your employees lean up things, help them come up with their own ideas. You'd be so surprised at how smart your employees are. And you'd also be surprised that they actually all want to do good. And usually it's your system that makes them worse. Or you got really good employees that watch the other one kind of do whatever they want, and then you're basically making great people bad. So you got to really shave off the bad ones, hold on to the good ones, and get them to innovate and let them be involved in your process. Every employee out there has my cell phone, and I don't answer email. So it's you either have my cell phone and that's how you call me. That's it, you know. So, but it's a culture thing because they have access to that then. So, anyways, I got into this, so I thought this would be fun to show you. At 38 years old, living in California, a bunch of old dudes get me into dirt bikes. Most fun I've had with my clothes on, to be quite honest. So, you know, this year I started racing in these Red Bull races, and I thought about it, and I was like, this is very much like screen printing. You got to bump the fist of your competition in the line. We're all doing this together, and we're just getting started. And I've been doing it for 25 years, and we're just getting started. So you bump the fist of your competition, get focused, and win. And that's what you guys got to do. Because it's not about getting in each other's pockets. It's not about taking each other's clients. There's a massive amount of work out there. And those of you that actually get focused and have fun and enjoy each other's company, you're going to win. You're going to win. I'm just telling you, this didn't come from mountains of money. It didn't come from being smart. I don't even know how to spell. But I was passionate, and I had a utility that I wanted to fill. I was like, I want to make full-color shirts because no one wants to make them. I want to do this. I want to make people posters. How do you do that? You got to buy a $2 million press. Let's figure out how to do that, right? Why would a kid buy an offset machine that costs $2 million you couldn't run it? Well, if your foundation, you created it, no one can take it away. So I'm just saying, you all can do whatever you want. I'm not trying to be fucking Tony Robbins. I'm being real. This is no magic trick. Anyways, to end up here and finish up, I still skateboard. I still print. And by the way, I want to point this out for everybody out there that manually prints. So don't pull squeegees. That's how you get a carpal tunnel. And if you put your fingers on the top, you flood, and you push down and you print like an automatic, you'll do one hit on manual and you'll print like an automatic. And an old guy taught me this trick and use a beveled squeegee, and it works amazing. When I had that little manual, I used to do 3,000 shirts a day on that thing for bands. Some of my favorite bands, those shirts were pulled by my hands, and I did thousands of shirts, and I swung that Hopkins faster than anybody's seen it. So I watch all these 6-shooter and how to print manual, and I'm like, I would love to just do a manual show. And anyways, yes, still best friends with this guy. 25 years later, Lindsey Kuhn, who I owe most, if not everything about me getting into this and turning my print passion into a business. And I appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much.